Good evening and welcome into the Mafia Cast. Brought to the fans, by the fans, and this is your one-stop shop for all things Bills every single week. Now here are your hosts, Mike Yanni, Ronnie Eastham, and Casey Cita.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome into, we'll call this a non-victory embarrassing Monday, day after a terrible, horrible loss. Mike, what are you laughing at? This is no laughing matter. This is not funny. How you doing, buddy?
You put that the best way possible. I'm happy to be back to, I don't know, with my peers. You, aka you, this is like therapy, right?
Yeah. Sometimes
we got to talk about
it out.
Yeah.
Just got to talk it out. Unfortunately, Casey will not be with us tonight. He may or may not be in the comments. We'll see. But he's taking a little time out. Yeah, I hope he's in the comments as well. But yeah, so this was a terrible, terrible game. I kind of texted you guys last night about this. I can't remember. I think it was right after the game, or maybe during. All this week since the Jacksonville and all the talk of the Bills 3-0 Super Bowl contenders, they look great. Josh Allen is the MVP leader. How many times have we seen the Bills come out in the first 2 or 3 games of a season now in the last 4 or 5 years, and they've looked just that, and the league starts talking about them. And it seems like every time that happens and they get a good start to the season, then they stumble. They win one, lose one, win one, lose, the whole back and forth thing. And then they decide, okay, let's turn it back on in December and early January. And then we get to the playoffs. They win the wild card round. They get beat by the Chiefs. Oh. This movie is playing out exactly the same already.
Yeah. I mean, I was really worried. It's going to happen. You're not going undefeated. And as much as we all wanted the Bills to win, we all know they're capable of winning that game. It just wasn't our day. And it's like I was waiting for it, and I didn't want this to be the game. I really didn't. You got the whole the MVP argument and all that crap, and it's early. Yeah. It's early. Yeah, I guess that's all we could really say is that it's early.
It is. It's early. We still got 13 more games to go. Like you said, we know we're not winning all of the games. You did predict, I think, 13 wins. Oh, we're still fine. Still on pace for that.
Yeah, man.
Case and I think we said 12. Or did we say 11? 11, 12. Either way, this is a good football team. I have no doubt. I just did my takeaways piece last night from this game, and that was one of the things that I mentioned in there was the Bills are going to be fine. They came up against an opponent that you watched the game, and clearly they wanted it more than the Bills did. And I hate to say that about any professional athlete, but sometimes you go into a game and for whatever reason you're just not there. And that's what it looked like last night.
Yeah, I mean they were ready and we weren't. I keep saying, it's like I was saying this year, it looks like we're going into these games. We have a game plan, we know what we're doing, but last night they came in with a better game plan for us than we had for them, certainly. And it just wasn't there all around.
Yeah, I do. Let me ask you this, because this was another thing that I thought about as we were watching that game. I think it was a Justice Hill touchdown reception. I believe it was one that put him up 21-3. I think it was Balen Spector was in coverage, and he was trying to be in coverage, and Hill just completely just broke his ankles, had no answer, no coverage.
Was that screen pass?
And it was down the flat. It wasn't a screen pass.
Right.
Justice Hill came out the backfield, put a little move on Spector, and then it was done. Right. I think it was Spector. If I'm wrong on that, then I apologize. But as I watch that happening, and then I watch and the runs, the Ravens, don't get me wrong, they're an excellent football team. They're a well-coached football team. but they saw an issue or a weakness, and that was the linebacking core for the Bills is depleted right now, and they took advantage of that. They attacked it, they took advantage of it, and they did. I mean, that's how you win games, right? You attack an opponent's weakness, and hopefully sooner than later we can get some of these guys back. I think injuries definitely played a part in that in this game. I think it was kind of overlooked a little bit last couple of games because we won in blowout fashion. The offense was rolling. They were putting up points almost every drive. Everybody's excited and happy, so not really paying attention to some of those weaknesses.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's just unbelievable how just up and down it can be just like that. Uh,
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh, kidding.
we're really ramping up nice, but yeah, we got to remember these are backup players. These are second string players that are thrown into the mix here. I mean, we haven't had Matt Milano in how long now? I mean, you almost forget he's on the team.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's true.
he's not there when you're thinking about, the next several games. You're not thinking about what Matt Milano's going to do, because he's not there. And then, guys like Terrell Bernard, been here some years now. So now he's becoming an important piece on this defense. A leader, a good communicator, and yeah, it really hurts losing those pieces. Don't forget Taron Johnson. So it really is
Yeah,
amazing that we were able to do what we have so far. Um, but you
yeah,
can
I
only go so
I
far with it.
agree. And because we're talking about the injuries on the defensive side, we'll go ahead and jump over to the defensive struggles. And there was a couple of things.
Mhm.
Obviously, Balen Spector, Dorian Williams struggle in this game, and it'll be nice when we can get Milano and Bernard back in there. Hopefully, Milano later in the season. But there's another part of this defense. There's a couple of areas, but one specifically I want to talk about right now that has stood out to me, and I noticed it a couple weeks ago. To be honest, I noticed it in the Dolphins game. Well, even a little bit in the Cardinals game, but not quite as big. When teams got the running game going up the middle, they seem to be having success. Um, the interior of the Bills' defensive line is a massive concern for me going forward because Daquan Jones and Ed Oliver, great dudes. I love the interaction on social media they have with the fans and in the public and all of that. But as football players, they are just not getting it done right now. If you look at their PFF grades, between the two of them, only once has either of them been graded above 60. On the season, they're both graded overall 47.2. That's
Wow.
terrible. That's third string production right there. Um, they have a total of 11 tackles between them. They've got a total of 14 pressures, only one sack. This is 4 games, and they're obviously playing well over 50% of the snap count. I'm worried. I'm worried if that doesn't get fixed soon or figure out how to fix it. Teams are going to, if they haven't already, there's how you attack this Bills defense.
Yeah.
And, I mean, even look at the other games. Against the Cardinals, they averaged 5 yards per rush. Against the Dolphins, 4.1. The Jaguars averaged 5.4 yards per run. If the Jags could have stayed in that game and
Hmm.
used their running game, that could have been a completely different ball game. And then the Ravens, my goodness, 8 yards per run. Obviously, that was
Yeah.
helped a lot by a couple of big runs, but still, that's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, we're 4 games into the season. This is the regular season's quarter of the way through. I mean,
Yeah.
if your numbers are there right now, yeah, I guess it is concerning. And I mean, you brought it to my attention. I wasn't really on my radar. I'm paying attention to what's going on at end and all this other stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's a great point you make there. I mean, what have they done? I mean, I'm picturing highlights in my head, and I got highlights from Solomon, and I remember seeing
Yeah.
Carter uh getting in on something last night. But yeah, like you said, the numbers aren't there. One sack between the two of them, and you've seen the running game. I mean, and when that happens, it's kind of what we're doing with James Cook. Get that running game going and playing complementary football. When you slip up, um, these teams start running on you, you're on your heels, and they use that to their advantage.
Yeah, and I think obviously if there's any team that can take advantage of something like that, it's the Ravens. That's what they do is power run game. They attack you in that way with Derrick Henry. And I'll eat crow right here, right now. I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong about something. I did not expect Derrick Henry to have a very good season. He's getting up there in age. He's got a ton of tread or wear on his tread. The dude can freaking ball still. Like he is beating Father Time right now. So my apologies to Derek on that. I was wrong. The dude can flat out play ball still.
Right. He definitely picked a good special occasion to come and stomp us out. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
if he's not going to be consistent, if he's not going to have a great year, if he is just going to have a couple good outings, man, you picked a good one.
Well, and the thing is too, when I did the mattress piece prior to this game, and I was talking about Derrick Henry, I was talking about the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Buffalo has always done really well against Lamar Jackson. I believe the only win that he has against the Bills since he came into the league was, I believe, it was either Allen's rookie year or even maybe before. I can't remember. But the last 2 years, Buffalo's kind of had their number, whether it's in the regular season or the playoffs. And with Derrick Henry, aside from that 176-yard run that he had a couple of years ago against the Bills defense, his career average against Bills defense was, I believe, 3.8 yards per carry, which is really good, under 4, right?
Yeah.
That one run boosted it up to, I believe, 4.1, 4.2. And a lot of people remember that run, so they oh, man, we suck against Henry. That actually wasn't the case. So I write all about this, right? And then I put it out there on the internet for the world to see, and then Derrick Henry goes out and makes me look like a fool.
Yeah. I mean, we can say we play him decent, but I think there's always that risk, or there's always that chance that's going to happen to any team with Derrick Henry running the football. But it's either you hold him, you keep him at bay, or he's just running free out there.
He's gone.
There's no in between.
Yeah. Staying on the defensive side, there's another thing that I kind of want to bring up, and you can tell me what you saw. Watching this game, I hate talking bad about Damar Hamlin. I love the dude as a human being. Fantastic. I love the story. It's awesome. Watching him in that game last night, he did not look like he was interested in playing tackle football. It was almost like he was looking for a flag to pull off of a belt because he didn't want to. Maybe I'm completely wrong. And I'm sure in his mind, he's going into the game and he's going to do what he can.
Yeah.
He just did not look like he was ready to hit last night. And even last week, he had the interception. Again, that's awesome. I love it for him. But too many times now this season, we have seen him out of position. We have seen him not be able to make a tackle, get beaten coverage. I mentioned this the other day on our show. Casey pretty much laughed at me. It's time for Cole Bishop. Cole Bishop needs to be in the game. And I believe Casey's words were, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm sorry, it is broke. We need Bishop in there. Is he going to make some mistakes as a rookie? Absolutely. Let him do that now, early in the season, so that by the time we get to the playoff run, he's got that experience under his belt. He's learned from some of those mistakes, hopefully, and because this team needs his athleticism on the field.
Yeah, I mean, now would be the time, right? Maybe you don't want to rush right back in. Who knows where he's at? I mean, he should be playing, I'm thinking, right, this week, but everyone's kind of day to day. So maybe now is the time, get some good reps in this week in practice, and turn him loose, see what he could do. About the Damar Hamlin thing, you're asking like what I saw of the game. It's more what I didn't see. I didn't see any very impactful plays. And then even some highlights I watched this morning, I was kind of like, and he just looked kind of slow on that play. I don't know why. I don't know if it was given up or, I mean, I understand you have the bad angle. You're not going to get there, or, the play's lost, but it's just like, I don't know. He seemed slow for me at one point.
Yeah. I mean, who
Let's
knows?
not
Maybe
forget
there's
too, he is
an injury there.
Backup. just along with everyone else.
What about Mike Edwards? We haven't really seen him in the game. I don't remember the snap count situation. We'll get to the snap counts in a minute. I know you wanted to touch on that a little bit, but maybe it's time for Bishop and Edwards to step in there as the two starting safeties and at least see what they've got and see what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a clue what's going on with Edwards. I mean, we're going way back since we first got him. I haven't really heard news of him doing anything, being injured, out. So I haven't heard his name brought up much except for what's going on with him. So
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't hurt now. I mean, to take a shot if he's ready to go.
Yeah, I think maybe getting them both out there. We need to make a change there.
Yeah. So yeah, the other thing I wanted to add, into the defense. So we mentioned the snap count. The Von Miller's 9 snaps, 9 plays he had. And the reason for that. But back to real quick, talking about our linebackers and defensive interior, something Bobby Babich kind of got at the presser earlier today. As far as being more consistent, it just sounds like it sounds like we kind of got carried away. We got to get back to the fundamentals, keeping our eyes in the right place, being in the right position before the snap, and staying disciplined. So that's going to be a big important part. I think they're going to stress about that this week in practice. Get back to the fundamentals, and the rest will come, because I think we were getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. I mean, come on, 3-0 going up against like one of the biggest competitors. You could only imagine what was going through these guys' heads. But stay disciplined, do the job, and we'll go from there. But as far as the snap count goes, for guys, for Von Miller, there's a reason that he only had 9 snaps, and it's because we didn't put the Ravens in the position to get Von Miller on the field. To get Von Miller on the field in a third down situation, going after Lamar Jackson. The more third downs we have, the more we're going to see him on the field. He's a veteran. He's aging. It's a long season. We want to, maybe limit it a little bit, but that's a huge part of it right there. We got to get these stops on first and second down, and then it takes a dimension out of the football game, or it takes a dimension out of the offense. They said, it's 2-dimensional, 1-dimensional. First and second down, you can do whatever you want. Third and long, you're passing the ball, and that's the situations we need to get him back on the field and getting more sacks.
Yeah, I agree. Let me ask you, as far as Von Miller is concerned, he's been terrific so far as pass rushing. He's got 3 sacks in 4 games. He was non-existent yesterday in last night's game. But going forward, what do you think the Bills do with this? As far as whether he remains with the team or not, I think he still has, 3 more years on his contract, maybe 2. Do you think that maybe the Bills move on from him after this season, especially if he's just going to be a third down guy?
I mean, if his production is just mediocre, I mean, we do have some younger guys that still, I think it would benefit to learn from him for maybe a couple years. I don't see him getting rid of him right after this season. Maybe one more out of him. This is the, actual bounce back year that it was supposed to be last year. So we're kind of really, we're still trying to figure out what the heck we got with him.
Yeah, that's true. And I think we're also trying to figure out what we have in other guys like Dwayne Carter and Javon Solomon. Me personally, I do want to see more of these guys on the field. And
Solomon's got a strip sack already, right?
Yeah, he's got the strip sack last week. Dwayne Carter made a fantastic play against Derrick Henry in 1-on-1.
Yeah.
Brought Henry down in the backfield at I think it was inside the 5. Not too many guys can do that, Derrick Henry. And looking at the numbers and watching the film, Carter has struggled as a rookie. That's kind of to be expected. But because of what I've seen or haven't seen, as you put it, from Oliver and Jones, I mean, why not? Go ahead and put him in there. Same thing kind of with Bishop, get him in there. Get him some time under his belt on the field. And hopefully maybe by the end of the season, once we start getting into, the last push for the playoffs and into the playoffs, then maybe he can be a better asset to the team. Because right now, the defensive line, to me, is kind of struggling. And another thing that talking about the ends, I think it was after the third week of the season, after the third game. I was looking at the numbers, and almost the majority of the pressures were coming from or had come from either Miller or Rousseau. And to me, that's a little concerning. They need somebody else to step up, and maybe that's Javon Solomon, but it needs to be Ed Oliver. He is, and I'm going to go back to him. I'm going to beat the poor guy up today.
Yeah.
He's got to be the guy, though. He's got to be the guy on the interior that goes from straight. I don't know.
He could do it.
Yeah, we've seen it, but so they always say like the fastest way to get from point A to point B is a straight line, and that's where Oliver is. He's in the middle of the line, a little offset from the quarterback. Get in there, get pressure up front, get pressure in a QB's face. Then the ends can really start to eat. Right now, there's no push up the middle. And I give Daquan Jones a little bit of a pass on this because he's not there to pass rush. That's not his job. His job is to eat up blocks and stuff the middle, which he's not doing that either. But we need somebody else on this defensive front to do something. It can't be Rousseau. It can't be just Miller. So I don't know if there's an answer, but something needs to give.
Right? Just get closer together.
Do something.
Right. Let the ends work harder.
And even talking about Rousseau, again, thinking about this, he hasn't had a sack since week 1.
Yeah.
Where's he been? What's happening with him?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The defensive front's frustrating me. It really is because I'm tired of hearing the.
You talked about it year after year now.
It's every year.
The rotation type style that it seems to be, but it's not. It's just what we got.
This regime has been better than probably any coaching staff in the league at finding and developing defensive backs. They might be the other end of that spectrum when it comes to finding and developing defensive linemen. I hate to say that, but how many defensive linemen have we been through, and none of them have really become that guy?
Yeah, well, I feel like we have the depth, we have the pieces. We just haven't found the right combination yet. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, we're going to jump into the offensive side of the ball, and I do kind of want to touch a little bit on the coaching aspect of that as well. But before we do that, let's get a word in from our sponsors over at Game On Sports.
Hey, this is John from Game On Video Games and Sports Memorabilia. We are Rochester's premier trading card store. We have a wide selection of trading cards, autographs, and memorabilia. We also do autograph and celebrity appearances in the store. So if you're looking for the perfect gift for yourself, relative that doesn't like the Bills, or for a friend, come down and check us out at our Rochester location, 2670 Dewey Avenue, or our Hamburg location at 1 Buffalo Street. Go Bills.
Go Bills. Offensive side. I'll let you start. What did you see on the offense? What stood out to you or didn't?
You just couldn't get it going. It doesn't. I don't know. We tried what we normally do. It just didn't work. We struggled running the ball. We got away from it a little bit, and then we got goofy. This thing really, yeah, this thing really got away from us. They talk a lot about complementary football. We can't get the running game going. I mean, like when James Cook first came on the scene here, we know what can happen. So it makes our offense one-dimensional. We saw some drop passes. We saw some bright spots. We saw Keon catch a couple right on the sideline. But man,
Yeah,
just no
I thought
consistency.
his game in this one is going to go unnoticed, but I agree. I thought he had maybe the best game of his young career. I know he had the big grab in I think it was
Right.
the Arizona game, but he really kind of disappeared since then. But this time, aside from the drop, I know that was a big one, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But after that, I think he caught all of his targets. I think I could be wrong, but I believe he did. But it wasn't just downfield stuff that where Allen's just putting it up there to him and hope that he can come out. Those were actual good routes by him on his part. Like you mentioned, the sideline catches as well. I like what I saw from Coleman, and I hope maybe we can start to see a little bit more of him because I do think the Bills need another presence in the passing game because for whatever reason, Kincaid has been, I hate to say this, but a disappointment so far. I know defenses are probably gearing towards him a little bit, but at the same time, if you're going to be one of the elites in this game, you got to find a way to make plays, whether you're quadruple coverage or single coverage. It doesn't matter. You've got to make plays and find ways to do that. You mentioned the drops. That was one of the things that looking back in this game, to me, there was really three moments. You could kind of maybe say four. But three really key moments that I feel like changed the complexion of this game. One being the first drive of the game, and Kincaid dropped. I think it was a 3rd and 5. No, I think it was a 3rd and 2 because then after that we punted, which we'll talk about that too. But 3rd and 2, Kincaid drops first down pass, so then we punt. Late in the first half, the Coleman drop. That could have been huge. If he comes down with that, we can go into the locker room down 21-10. I think again it kind of changes things. But we go into the second half. We get a 3 and out. We go down, we score. We get a 3 and out. We're like, oh my gosh, here we go. And then the trick play. Everything ruined everything. The momentum was gone. So the Coleman drop, the Kincaid drop, and as you put it, the goofy trick play call. Those three plays right there, to me, were the difference.
Yeah. I mean, you know what it makes me think, I know we already talked about the defense. We were just rattled all around. We were just not settled in. Too much. I mean, the pressure was on.
Do you think maybe because of that 87-yard run to open the Ravens offensive drive, do you think maybe the offense, the Bills, looked at them like, oh crap, it's going to be one of those nights, and then they started pressing, thinking that they were going to have to score a lot, and then come the mistakes.
Certainly. You're frantic,
Yeah. Yeah. Let's touch on the coaching. I know that's been a hot topic on social media today, and rightfully so. I'm usually very defensive when it comes to our coaching staff because I do think they are more than capable of getting this team to and winning a Super Bowl. And I'm also, as somebody who lived through the entire 17-year drought and everything prior to that, because of the fact that this regime and Brandon Beane got us to where we are now, I do tend to give them a little more leeway, I think, than a lot of people. Because I would rather this and never win a Super Bowl than 17-year playoff drought again. I've talked about that before, but what do you think about that 4th and 2 and electing to punt after we just went for it on 4th and short on the 38 or 39?
It seems like indecisiveness or hesitant, or I'm trying to find the perfect word. But yeah, I mean, confident, not confident. The trick play, that was all the confidence in the world. We need a little less confidence there and a little bit more maybe earlier.
Yeah. When McDermott went for it on that first one, on the first fourth, and I mean, it was inches. And we got to midfield and it's 4th and 2.
I'm
My
thinking
first
it's going to be
thought
all
was
game.
like, well, yeah, my first thought was, okay, so we punted it. We pinned him inside the 15. It's fine, whatever. But today, as I've been kind of thinking about it, I'm like, well, yeah, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense to go for it on your own 38 and then not go for it at midfield.
Yeah.
When you have, as what some people refer to Josh Allen as the 4th and cheat code. Like, if you need 2 yards, trust your cheat code in Josh Allen to get it done. And for whatever reason, they didn't in that moment. And I think that's one of the things that's kind of rubbing the fan base wrong with McDermott is there's been some moments over the years where that's kind of been the case. Like he's on paper, he's one of the more aggressive coaches. Like statistically, he actually is. But it's those moments when he doesn't do it, and it kind of seems like it comes back and bites us.
I know, because after the first one, I were like, for sure he's going for it. We've seen this already, where there's multiple times during a game we go for it on 4th and we keep going, and that's how we control this game. We're unstoppable. I don't know. It makes me wonder about Josh Allen's injury too. If we're being a little cautious, you don't want to get him too banged up. I mean, that thing's been taped for weeks
if they're gonna do the tush push though, with him, I don't know that I would be really overly concerned or feel like that the team or the coaching is really concerned about it if they're going to do that. In fact, I saw one of these ESPN guys, I can't remember who it was, on Twitter, commented on just that.
Yeah.
Basically saying if he has a hand injury, why are you doing the tush push with him? I saw it again in Minnesota. Was it the Minnesota game? Yeah, it was the Minnesota game where, I'm sorry, not the Minnesota. Freaking Kirk Cousins. Who does he play for? Atlanta.
Atlanta, yes.
They had a 4th and short, and they ran that silly little, I don't know, outside run or whatever. And everybody's like, why didn't you just go up the middle? Because your quarterback just coming back from an Achilles injury.
Yeah.
To me, I don't know. I haven't seen too many quarterbacks get injured on a sneak or on this tush push. Have you? I know it happened to Patrick Mahomes a few years ago. Other than that, I don't recall any moment where, oh my gosh, the quarterback got hurt on a sneak.
True. It's just with all those bodies laying there, you're always worried. It always looks like someone's rolled up, but it takes a minute for everyone to get off the pile and stand back up again. But yeah, I guess you're right. You don't really, injured himself on the tush push. You never really see it happen. But I don't know. It's got to be something, right? There's got to be a reason for being cautious, or.
But it's more often than. I don't say more often than not. It just feels like there's key moments when they really need to go for it. And like I said, when they first did that punt, I saw somebody said it kind of set the tone for the whole game when he didn't go for it there. And then of course when you follow that up, the decision making, there's no consistency there. That's a good point, good way to put it. The other thing. Let's talk about the trick play. I know everybody is on Joe Brady's ass about that play and that play call, and rightfully so, because it was dumb. You don't make that call in that moment. However, if it works,
yes,
we're all praising Joe Brady and
hero.
McDermott for having the guts to call a play like that. And he's a hero. I looked at the all 22, and I don't know if you've seen it or not.
Mm-mm.
But it's the target, the intent was to go to Mac Hollins downfield. And it looks like to me he is about to come open. And I think Allen was anticipating that, and that's why he went and threw it. Because some people are like, he shouldn't have thrown it. He should have just fell to the ground, took the loss, and moved on.
Getting the ball there.
Yeah. And then there's other people who are saying, well, the only reason why it looks like he was coming open was because at that point the safety was coming down to help with Allen. It's really close, and it could be the case. But the issue that I have with this whole play, wasn't the play call, wasn't the decision to go and try to throw it. Watch that play. Deion Dawkins completely whiffed on his assignment, and I barely even touched him. That instantly blew up the play. And then when Allen once he pitched it over to Allen, I can't remember I don't know who the player was that Dawkins whiffed on, but he immediately turns around and goes after Allen, and Dawkins tries to block him again and misses again.
Jeez.
And then that's when, and that's the player that knocked the ball out of his hands as we get ready to throw it. If Dawkins blocks him, makes that block, we might be talking a different tune today.
I'll have to watch that back. That's very interesting.
Yeah. And I'm not heaping all the blame on one guy. This is a complete team failure.
Yeah, just something to look at. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it's interesting to me when you watch football, and you really can pick out three to five plays, no matter the score, and be like, that's what changed the game, or that's the difference in this game all the time. It never fails. You watch a game, and you can almost sense it when it happens too.
Right.
For obviously the trick play is easy to feel that, but the drop Kincaid pass, on that fourth or the third and two, yeah, that to me when that happened, I was like, oh, that's not cool. And then even I think it was the next drive when Allen went to Shakir, and it was the first not completed pass to Shakir in 29 pass attempts. Even that moment, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Like, you just kind of had a feeling.
Yeah. I know Casey struggled to watch that game. And then I was super hopeful. Even when it started raining, I thought that was going to help us or something. I don't know.
And when the second half started, it looked like it might just happen. Like, okay, we're going to get this back. We're down 21 to 10. I really did. I felt like we were going to take it down and score. And then all of a sudden it's 21 to 17. Here we go. Game is back on. And then that trick play just completely took all the wind out of everybody's sails and everything. I guess the one silver lining in all of this, one, it's early in the season, but we got out of the game without any really significant injuries.
Right.
Allen was scared us for a minute, but I think he's perfectly fine. Shakir got up after he took a shot, and he's going to be fine. Yes, Rep sustained the concussion, but it's not anything like a season ender, and it's a day-to-day injury. He could probably more than likely be back next week against the Texans. And, I can't wait for that Texans game. But
yeah.
we'll talk more about the Texans game on our Thursday show for sure. We'll break that down, and of course we'll give our score. Didn't I tell you? We talked our score predictions last on Thursday, and I predicted a blowout. Every time I do that, look what happens. Yeah. I got to stop.
I know.
I'm just going to pick against the Bills from now on. Maybe that's what needs to happen.
It's such a struggle, isn't it?
I can't do it. Yeah, it is. It is. You have anything else you want to add? Any last thoughts or anything before we get out of here?
I don't know. I'm still all on board with this team. We're going to turn it around.
100%.
It's a fluke. It happened. We got complacent or whatever. I still think we could do it. But yeah, last week, eating cat in Buffalo, and this week we're eating crow and not ravens. Just straight eating crow over here on the Mafia Cast.
Yeah, whole plate full of it. Let me ask you really quick before we get out of here, and this is probably going to extend this just a little bit more, but that's fine. You mentioned you're fine. You're with what the team has and where we're going. When you look at the receiving core, are there any concerns there? And I ask because there's been a lot of talk about that today. People coming back with we need a true number one. We need this. We need that. Whatever. Adonai Mitchell's name. I saw somebody mention him. He'd be balling out if he was with the Bills right now.
I wanted him.
And all
of
that.
Talking draft.
Yeah. Well, but what do you think? Are you confident with what we have as a receiving crew, and confident enough that they can get it done and make enough plays to get us through the playoffs and maybe beyond?
Yeah, I do. Just the simple fact that, because we were almost arguing, do you even need a number one receiver. You know, we were talking that this offseason. You know, we could spread the ball all around more. We're not forcing it.
Here's my thought on this. I understand the everyone eats mantra, and it sounds great. I think this passing game needs to be built around Shakir and Kincaid. Make them the focal point. Like I said, I like the whole idea of everyone eats, but those two, they need to be the focus. And if you do that, I think it would open up things more so for MVS down the field, because he's been non-existent. He's doing nothing. As I said, that would be the case before the season even started, which is why they want him on the team. But he's there. So I think if they can start to utilize and focus a little bit on Shakir and Kincaid, maybe that'll open things up downfield for MVS. Plus, I need my prediction of 100-plus receptions for Shakir to come true. So we need to step up the targets a little bit on that.
We're getting behind here. So I want to ask one thing, too. So with Keon, if Keon had one more year, had a year under his belt already, if this was his second year, is he in that Shakir Kincaid group? Is his name mentioned there?
From what I've seen so far,
bit.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen to this point, I'm going to lean towards yes.
Yeah.
It's early. He disappeared in weeks 2 and 3, but I've seen him.
Yeah, he couldn't get to practice.
Get to practice sometime. Yeah. I think I've seen some plays here and there from him that makes me believe that, okay, maybe he'll be okay. Maybe he can be the guy. I do want to see what's the situation with Curtis Samuel?
I don't want to see him throwing the ball to Josh Allen.
Very true. Let's not ever have Josh Allen lined up at receiver again.
He could do anything but that.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of Curtis Samuel. But
are we just going to keep trying different things with him and just cross him off the list as we go? Don't do that.
I guess so.
I don't like that play.
And the last 2 weeks, too, I've noticed that they've opened the game script with some passes to Dalton Kincaid, and then they stop. I don't quite understand that. I'm not saying force feed him or anything like that, but if you're going to throw a screen pass to him on the first play of the series and then never do it again, that doesn't make any sense. At least sprinkle it out throughout the game. Give him some, get the ball in his hands and see.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The same play, like switch it up somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just script him in that first drive and then get away from it. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Hopefully Case will be back on Thursday, and we'll talk about the Texans game and everybody's favorite subject, Stephon Diggs. And that's going to be an interesting week and an interesting Sunday afternoon game, I believe. It's a 2 o'clock game, isn't it?
2 o'clock? Or no?
I'm sorry, 1 o'clock.
I want to say it is.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll talk about that on Thursday. We'll break it down. We'll give our score predictions. We'll give us our prime time picks again and all of that. And until Thursday night, we'll see you all, Bills Mafia. Have a good night and go Bills.
Go Bills. Tell your friends.